This book contained a map. A map with no names. Precise directions from the unknown city to the secret canyon of the Crescent Moon.
So it did.
Where are these missing pages, this map? We must have these pages back.
You're wasting your breath. He won't tell us. And he doesn't have to. It's perfectly obvious where the pages are. He's given them to Marcus Brody.
Marcus? You didn't drag poor Marcus along, did you? He's not up to the challenge.
He sticks out like a sore thumb. We'll find him.
The hell you will. He's got a 2-day head start on you, which is more than he needs. Brody's got friends in every town and village from here to the Sudan. He speaks a dozen languages, knows every local custom. He'll blend in, disappear. You'll never see him again. With any luck, he's got the Grail already.
Does anyone here speak English? Or even ancient Greek? Water, no, thank you, sir. No fish make love in it.
It's Two Dads, One Movie. It's the podcast where two middle-aged dads sit around and shoot the shit about the movies of the 80s and 90s. Here are your hosts, Steve Paulo and Nick Brianna. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are going to 1989 and we are watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mentioned it last week when I picked this one for us. This is my favorite, I think the best of the Indiana Jones films. Really, I only consider the first three films to be extant to begin with. I'm not going to watch that Crystal Skull or Dial of Destiny.
We live in
crap,
the 80s and 90s. We're
exactly,
true to that.
Exactly. So yeah, one of my favorite movies growing up. I saw this in the theater when it came out. This was, Indiana Jones in general was a huge part of my childhood, along with Star Wars and a handful of other things that I think a lot of people our age definitely grew up with. But Nick, I understand this was your first viewing.
Yeah, I'd never seen this one before. I think there are a lot more of these movies than I'd like to admit. But yeah, so I'd seen the first couple Indiana Jones here and there, and I don't know what happened. I just never watched this. I always considered it in my mind to be the new one.
Oh.
And I like Sean Connery. I like everything about this. I don't know why I never got back to it. I think maybe by the time I had access to it, I was kind of grown into like different kinds of action movies and didn't really go back and revisit some of this stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely more of like an adventure movie than like a pure action movie. It's
For sure.
There's definitely action. There's lots of fights and there's lots of different action sequences, but it definitely has more of that adventure feel, the classic Indiana Jones sort of vibe.
Yep.
But yeah, in the intervening 36 years, I guess you just never got around to it, huh?
I never, I mean, for the number of times I've watched like various Steven Seagal movies, to have never watched this, I feel like I'm going to end up at a few levels down in hell if I were to die today. So I got to really start repenting.
This movie was also sort of a return to the roots for the series, much in the same way that European Vacation stands out as a sore thumb in the Vacation series because there's no Cousin Eddie, and having a vacation movie without Cousin Eddie is sort of like lacking. Temple of Doom doesn't have Nazis. So to go from Raiders of the Lost Ark, which had Nazis, to Temple of Doom with no Nazis, to Last Crusade where we have Nazis again, having Indiana Jones beat up and kill Nazis is like a major attraction of the series.
Yeah, for sure.
This really is like a return to the core of Indiana Jones.
And, again, as someone not familiar with this movies, I was pleasantly surprised by the number of Nazis that get like punched and shot and blown up and stuff. So it was nice to see.
Crashed into things, and oh my God, it's fantastic. So yeah, all right, let's jump into the facts on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This movie came out May 24th, 1989, good old Memorial Day weekend, big for movies. Running time, 127 minutes, rating of PG-13. Directed by Steven Spielberg, the one, the only. Written by Jeffrey Boehm, George Lucas, and Menno Meyjes. I believe I'm pronouncing that name right. I don't know for sure. Starring, among others, but primarily starring Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh. Critics did not have a problem with this movie. An 8.2 on IMDb, a very high score for IMDb. It won 9 total awards from various award shows, including, I'll mention specifically, 1 Oscar. It won the Academy Award for Best Effects, Sound Effects Editing, and I feel like every Indiana Jones movie should win that just for the sound of punches in Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
The whip smack sound of the punch is so uniquely Indiana Jones and so good. On a budget of $48 million, which is a ton of money for 1989.
Yeah.
It did bring in $474 million, for just shy of 10 times what it cost.
Crazy.
We'd have to look back. I think this in nominal dollars made slightly less than Terminator 2, but significantly more than its budget, and slightly less as a percentage of its budget than Coming to America made, but it's like right up there with as far as like box office success with those two movies of the ones we've done. So yeah, huge hit. It was pretty inescapable this summer of '89. Again, another like T2, another of those movies with like a ton of like fast food tie-ins and action figures and stuff just kind of all over the place. Indiana Jones sort of took over for at least that year. Let's dive in. I'll go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah.
So first off, I just want to mention the creative team behind this movie, right? You have Steven Spielberg directing. It's produced by Frank Marshall and George Lucas from A Story and Characters by George Lucas. John Williams does the score. The cast includes, obviously Harrison Ford and Sean Connery in top billing, but River Phoenix is in this. John Rhys Davis is in it. There's just some fantastic actors up and down. Even ones that maybe
Denholm Elliott.
Denholm Elliott is fantastic. Love him as Marcus Brody. And there's other characters. Alison Doody plays the beautiful Dr. Elsa Schneider. Also, by the way, who the thing that I actually remember her sometimes almost as much for, she played Wild Thing Vaughn's agent in Major League 2.
Oh, okay.
And so she was definitely a favorite of mine. Back in all
the great sequels.
But yeah, so we start off in a flashback sequence to a young Indiana Jones as a member of a bench, basically the Boy Scouts, it looks like, or whatever similar thing. And so this would have been based on the idea that, generally speaking, the Indiana Jones films, at least the ones involving Nazis, take place in the late 1930s. That's sort of the ballpark of where his stuff. This must be about 1915.
I think it said 1915.
15.
On the screen,
I couldn't remember if it said. So 1915, we're taken back to Utah, and so Indiana Jones is played by River Phoenix at this point, very young. His hair, I don't think, matches the time period at all. It's like way too long for a boy to have at that. I don't feel like people were that cool about long hair.
It was
on young
accidentally
men.
Stylish. Maybe.
Yeah, it was maybe. But basically, we get this prologue sequence. And we'll go into the whole thing. But I want to say just there's something so clean about this prologue. It takes 10 minutes, and it gives us the origin of the hat, the whip, the scar on his chin, his fear of snakes, all in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's really impressive.
Because I was looking down, like when this sequence ended, I looked down once it kind of flashed into present day and was shocked to see how efficient that was. Because all these things, as I'm going through, as being the dumb guy seeing this for the first time and being like, wait a second, I thought he didn't like snakes. Hey, that guy's hat looks a lot like his hat. And I'm, so I'm kind of following along here. But I mean, a great way, especially as someone who's kind of like less familiar with the Indiana Jones lore, to just be caught up on like all this stuff, and you're kind of like, oh, it makes a lot of sense, and it wasn't really crammed in there. I mean, it was very like efficiently done. It was pretty cool. Yeah,
I think it's really it does something some really good sequels do, which is both give you sort of fan service. If you are a fan, if you know the origins or you know the story or you know the characters, you get these little bits that are sort of fun, like, oh, that's so neat. Look at that. And if you're not familiar, it's just explaining stuff to you. Yeah. And I think that's really great. It really makes it so that new folks to the series or whatever can kind of come in. Indiana Jones is not a serial series in the sense that the events of one movie do not directly influence the events of another necessarily, right? It's like an ongoing lore. And so being able to drop in, if you'd never ever heard of Indiana Jones, you could drop into this movie and get all the information that you need in order to enjoy it as we go along. So the prologue, Indy is in Utah with his Boy Scouts. They're just exploring caves. He stumbles upon some treasure hunters who are digging through one of the caves, and they find a beautiful golden cross with a long golden chain, which he immediately recognizes as the Cross of Coronado. I don't know exactly how old Indy is at this point. 17, 18, 19, in that ballpark. I don't know exactly, but he still lives with his dad at home. So there's that. But he's obviously been very well educated to be able to recognize an artifact like that so instantly is again, sort of an insight into Indy himself. He does not have a problem with a snake that's crawling on his buddy and says it's just a snake, throws it away. Yeah. But he sends his buddy off to go get the sheriff and go get their troop leader and kind of tell people that he's found some people who are like robbing this site, basically. So he climbs down to steal the cross, and he's almost away when he kicks something and it attracts the attention of the treasure hunters, and now they're chasing him.
Yes.
And it's just a fantastic chase sequence. It starts going down the hillside, whatever, until he's running near some train tracks, and it turns out there's a circus coming to town.
Yeah.
Because he jumps onto the train carrying the circus animals.
Such a cool idea. this all looked great. Like the beginning of the movie, as they're riding horseback, like in the flashback scene, all that just, it's beautiful. Like it really sets it up. And then the colors and everything in this train sequence, there was a shot of it where it's kind of like directly from the side, and it almost looked like an homage to like a silent film type chase. Like it seemed intentional that it was filmed in a certain way to look like what some of those silent films look like, because they didn't really use that angle otherwise. But so many things he could get into, like, okay, I'm being chased on the train. Well, what if I dip into a car? There's a lion here. There's all this stuff. A really cool idea, and just a great way to get that adrenaline flowing early in the movie.
This is also the first of many times throughout the movie where we have either fighting occurring on or involving a different kind of vehicle. There's super, well, I'll mention them all as we go through them, but this is obviously they're fighting on a train, and they're sort of going, and he's, getting caught by people, and they're getting away from them, and then punching, and then they punching, and there's all this stuff, and he's got to fight a guy with a knife while a rhino in the car beneath them is shoving his horn up in through the roof and almost getting him in the nards. He falls into the reptile car, and that's where we think maybe his fear of snakes comes from, because he is covered in snakes, and then there's a few
they're like in his clothes.
Oh man, they kind of follow him for a little while. And then, he falls through the ceiling of the lion car. And this is where he grabs a whip off the wall to sort of try to keep the lion at bay. But his first use of it actually gets himself across the chin. Now, Harrison Ford, of course, has that scar for real. He got it as a young man. But this explains the scar as far as the Indiana Jones character goes. Like, it came from the first time you ever tried to use that whip. But basically he is kind of helped out of the lion's cage by the treasure hunters who think they've got him now. But he's able to get away yet again and get into like a magic car. It's like the caboose, and it says like Dr. So-and-so's magic caboose. And this is when the head treasure hunter is kind of like, okay, well, wait, see if he doubles back. Like, don't all of you go in. But he dives into like a trunk, but it's clear that he's gone into the guy's like, okay, get out of the trunk, kid. Well, apparently this trunk, I don't know if the magic show takes place in the train car.
Would it be rigged to drop you through the floor of the train car?
Clearly he's been able to get out of the train car itself through the floor of the trunk, which is interesting.
You just have to place the magic box somewhere.
I guess so. So apparently that's built into that train car to be impressive. And so he's able to get away. So he runs off, and he's able to make it home to where he lives with his father, the Joneses. And And this is, we first hear one of our co-stars here. We don't actually see Sean Connery.
Right. And he's home, and he has the cross. But then the sheriff shows up at his door.
Yeah, and he's excited. He's like, okay.
He's like, good. Hey, I'm a good guy. I get to turn this in. Like, because it seems like his motivation is like, this should be in a museum.
Yes. Yeah.
Like this should be for everyone to see or whatever. And the sheriff, like to his disappointment, is accompanied basically by the treasure hunter crew.
Yeah.
He's like, well, these guys say you stole it, whatever. He gives it back. They immediately walk it outside, get handed an envelope full of cash from this other guy.
This guy in a white suit. Yeah.
So he's just learning like the dirty game of artifact hunting, I think.
Yeah. For sure. And so then the head treasure hunter, who's got the brown felt fedora, takes it off of his hat, and puts it on the kid. He say, kid, you lost today, but you don't got to like it.
Right.
And he puts the hat on, which is our transition then to modern day or present day, which for us is like, again, the late 30s. That's when the Indiana Jones films take place, but it's now adult Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, who is on the deck of a storm tossed ship. And we're told the off the coast of Portugal, I believe it says. And being punched and attacked and whatever.
Just getting the crap beat out of him right away.
Another vehicle on which we're having a battle. From train to boat.
If your kid is approached by a guy that looks like that treasure hunter who puts his hat on the kid's head is like, hey, good job, kid. How quick before you burn that thing?
I know, right? I think it's just another indication to us that Dr. Jones, the father, is not particularly
he's not paying
involved.
attention.
Yeah, in his son's life.
Where'd you get that hat?
Yeah. What hat?
This fight on the boat, this is a great intro to the action of present day Indiana Jones, and just him beating a bunch of nameless guys up,
right.
and in the end of it, he basically turns into one of our former podcast subjects, Demolition Man, and blows up an entire boat just to save this artifact. Right?
Wasn't his fault. He flew off into the ocean, and then some big thing fell over and burned the boat and exploded. It wasn't his fault.
So his hands are clean.
His hands are clean.
Boat
Yeah, exactly.
explosion.
And plus, the artifact's obviously way more important than the people. So, but this is also a good introduction to, again, what I mentioned, that whip smack noise that punches make in Indiana Jones. I don't think I've ever heard in any movie else.
It's interesting if you're listening close in certain movies, the other sounds they lay over to enhance things. Like I've heard like a jaguar roar put over explosions.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, things that add punctuation to it that aren't really the real life sound. So yeah, that's really cool. The whip smack sound there.
Yep. But yeah, it's so classic. So
he gets this artifact back to school, and he's back at his boring life teaching. It's kind of like his Clark Kent character, right? And all he wants to do is return this to the school. He doesn't have big stories about, dude, you wouldn't believe what I had to go through to get this. So he's back there, and he gives it to Denholm Elliott, who's
Marcus Brody is the character's name. And he is the curator of the museum there at the college. They don't say what college it is, but I get the sense we're talking about upstate New York, it seems like, just based on the other geography where he's easily taken to. And then, so, let's think it's probably something along the lines of like Cornell, Syracuse, something in that ballpark. It's probably an Ivy League. It's not like he's not at some community college. He's probably at a big school that has a museum.
He's not at Bunker Hill Community College.
Exactly, right. But before that, when he's teaching his class, he says, archaeology is the search for fact, not truth. If you want truth, Dr. So-and-so's philosophy course is, down the hall. And he makes a comment about we don't follow maps to buried treasure, and X never, ever marks the spot, which is going to come back later, of course. So he goes, he tells Marcus about, hey, I found it. I've been looking for this all my life. Marcus is super impressed. And of course, then Jones says, we'll discuss my honorarium over dinner and champagne. Your treat. Honorarium, of course, is what you pay to someone who's donated something to it's basically his fee for tracking down and getting the things. It's one of the ways he makes his money. Let's not pretend that Indiana Jones is completely altruistic. He is paid to retrieve these things.
But he's probably paid an incredibly small fraction of the value.
Right.
Stuff.
No, sort of like last week we talked about sneakers. When you do the good work, even with the skill set that could do evil, you don't get paid as much for the good. He goes to his office at the school, and there are just a crowd of students beckoning and clamoring for his help with stuff. I don't know, with papers, whatever. I think a lot of them might just be young women who are attracted to him and want to hang out with him. But his secretary says, your mail's on your desk. You got these term papers to grade, whatever. And he's like, okay, I'll talk to everybody once in one at a time, intern, Goes into his office, which is a really cool little office. It's clearly he's built himself a bunch of shelves around the office holding all these artifacts and different things that he's, gathered over the years, but apparently weren't good enough to go in Marcus's museum. They just sit there in his office. But he has some mail on his desk, one of which is a small brown wrap paper package that says it's from Venice, Italy. And he mentions Venice, and he puts it in his pocket. Instead of heading back out through the throng of students who are still screaming at his door, he sneaks out the window because fuck them kids. But as he does, he is approached by men very ominously sitting in a black car, waiting for him. Doesn't look good.
No.
But they basically say Mr. Dr. Jones, will you come with us, please? And it's who are these guys?
I want to have money someday to just send a car of goons to pick one of my friends up, even if it's just hey, you're coming over to watch the hockey game. It's just I want to send them there for that. Yeah. So he gets brought back to this guy's house who's maybe the benefactor of the school, one of the rich.
He's obviously a really rich dude.
And this is my ignorance of the series. Has this character appeared before? Or no?
Walter Donovan is a character for this movie only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying, hey, you like finding stuff. I like quote finding stuff too. Don't trust anybody. Kind of a similar to the Russian diplomat in Sneakers.
That's right. Yeah. Don't trust anybody.
Don't trust anyone. And he tells him, though, we found this etching, I guess, that is partially looks like it's giving us clues to the location of the Holy Grail,
right?
The cup that Jesus drank from
at the Last Supper,
which is supposedly to give you eternal life or healing, or this is the theory behind it, right?
That's the lore. That's the lore, and so we're really close to it. And of course, we learn through this conversation that they had a project lead, on the job, and sort of they were looking in Venice, and they think they might have found the second marker that they're supposed to be looking for. Again, this is all this they're following the myth and finding pieces of it are real. So let's keep following the myth then. And he says, well, our project leader is missing. we need someone to go both continue his research, but also maybe to find him. And so we thought we'd talk to you, and Indy tells him, like, well, you got the wrong Dr. Jones. My dad's the Grail enthusiast. I'm not into this stuff. And he goes, oh no, that's who's missing. Which I'm like, fuck you, Walter Donovan, burying the lead that his dad is missing is like so shitty and should be such a red flag about what kind of guy Walter Donovan is. But obviously Indy agrees, to sort of like whatever. So he initially goes and gets Brody, and Marcus Brody and Indy go to his dad's house to look for him. It's been ransacked. It's been torn apart.
Tossed,
and Marcus is like, what could they have been looking for? And that's my Denholm Elliott impression.
That's good. That's pretty good.
And he's got the wrap package with him. He opens it up, and it's the Grail diary. So he realizes that his dad sent him his Grail diary, all the notes, all the research, everything he'd ever done over his entire career looking for the Grail and interpreting signs and different clues are all there in the diary.
Yep.
And they've been sent away from wherever he was, it says from Venice, to Indy. And so he now knows for sure Donovan's not like lying to him. His dad is missing. He seems to be in trouble. He clearly was in Venice recently to mail this thing. So he agrees to go and to look for his dad, and will be greeted at the airport by about the airport, whatever, but will be greeted by Dr. Schneider.
Right. So they didn't know at this time, and the common perception, especially back in the late 30s, you're being greeted by a doctor. It's going to be a male,
man,
right? So then, it's this nice looking blonde lady who's like, what's this broad doing here? Where's the real doctor, toots? Oh no, I am the doctor. And it actually wasn't like a big deal in the movie.
No.
It was just kind of a brief, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then she takes them to, what is this place that she takes them to in Venice?
Right. It's a library, but it used to be a church.
Okay.
So it's like a converted church.
Had been built kind of on top of the ruins potentially of this.
Well, so it's like what we find out is that there's catacombs beneath the city that were beneath the church. So they would have used it as like a sacred burying place.
Okay.
Whatever, back in the 1200s or something, whatever. But that, the church it was built on top is no longer used as a church. It is used as a library. And so Dr. Schneider takes Marcus and Indy there, is basically saying like, this is like the last thing that your father, when your father went missing, he left this note where he was, and it just had Roman numerals on it. It had 3, 7, and 10, just the Roman numerals.
Right.
And that's like all they kind of got to go on. Indy notices right away the spot where she brings them to, this stained glass window that's in front of them. He's like, I recognize this. My dad literally drew this stained glass window in his Grail diary. Like, this was an important thing. And of course, what are on the stained glass window but those Roman
3,
numerals?
7, and 10, right.
And then they start looking around, and on one column they see a 3, and on another column they see a 7. Never mind, there are other columns with other Roman numerals on them, but hey, ignore those. But there is no 10.
Confirmation bias, yeah.
Exactly. Where's the 10? Everybody look around for the 10. They're looking around, and Elsa's going this way, and Marcus is going that way, and Indy kind of looks at the floor, and he climbs this little, one of those classic iron spiral staircases, and looks down, and on the floor, of course, is the Roman numeral 10, to which he has to sheepishly admit, X marks the spot. X
marks the spot, yep.
Because X never, ever marks the spot.
So, and this, like, as a viewer, I was like, geez, this is happening pretty quick here. We're discovering the treasure very quickly.
Yeah.
And then Indy takes one of those, like, stanchion holder things, those posts, and just hits this incredibly heavy tile 3 times, and then fully like produces a hole through to the floor, so enough for him to like move it out of the way.
I think it's marble, which is incredibly hard, right? And I think what happened is he's just trying to hit a corner, because the idea is that if there is a way down underneath, just destroying a corner would let you sort of like, so that's what he does. But there's a great moment I don't want us to miss here, where the librarian is like stamping books, and it just so happens that every like second or third stamp he does coincides with Indy nailing this thing into the marble floor until the crunch sound of the last break, and he has to put the stamp down like, what's going on with my stamp?
Yeah, him looking at his stamp as if like, what's happening? I have super strength here or something.
I'll also say
funny.
Real quick before we get too far into it, I want to say, like, if I were to be an incredibly wealthy person someday, which is, probably not in the cards, I would pay a pretty obscene amount of money to own the original movie prop of the Grail diary. It's to me, one of the coolest movie props of all time. The amount of detail they had to put into it just so he could flip through it on screen. The camera on it, and he's able to flip through it, and there are no blank pages in there, right? It's page after page of like drawings and like, I would pay literally six figures if I had it, if I was that kind of wealthy, to get my hands on the original prop from the movie. It's probably in Steven Spielberg or George Lucas's house, right? It's probably something one of them has held on to.
Probably just in a drawer. It's not treasured right now.
Not to be on the nose, but it is my holy grail of movie props. All right.
They end up finding a hole in the floor. Right. He easily pulls it up. Is like, okay, well, there's a hole, so let's go down it right away.
Right. No idea how far down.
And the doctor, to her credit, just says, "Lower me down."
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that. Go get him-ness.
She's just as much of a sort of treasure hunting adventurer as he is, which is great.
And they go down like onto a pile of skulls immediately. I mean, I get they're catacombs, but there aren't normally like loose bones on the floor.
You'd expect them to be like in alcoves or burial something. Like they're just everywhere. They're just all over.
But good creepy stuff down there.
Yeah.
We had some rats.
Oh my God,
I
lots
think
of rats.
He smelled in the water. He's like, oh, it smells like petroleum. Like there's some kind of leakage there or some kind of fluid there. And then he did a very cool thing, which is take a loose bone and wrap a rag around it, dip it in there to make a bone torch.
Right.
Which I think was a very cool device.
Very cool, but it also is clearly at times like dripping embers.
I know, I noticed it kept dripping, and I'm like, what's going on? They should be
exploding at this point. Like
at this point they've introduced the petroleum, so it's gonna blow up. So is it gonna from a stray drip?
Chekhov's gasoline.
Yes, exactly.
No, so while they're down there, they start going through. They're looking for whatever they're looking for. They're trying to find this. Well, they're trying to find this marker, and they don't know exactly what form it'll come in, but they believe it'll be buried with one of these three brothers that they believe is buried there. So they're just hunting for this particular, casket or something, right? They don't know exactly what it is yet, but they're going through. Meanwhile, we're shown back up at the top Marcus Brody, who is kneeling over the hole, staring down into it.
Yep.
For some reason, does not hear three armed men in patent leather shoes walk down a massive spiral iron staircase and across a marble floor. Hears nothing and is struck from behind and knocked out.
Yeah,
so
that
Marcus
is kind of crazy. Meanwhile, Indy Underground has found the tomb that he's looking for.
Yes.
He kind of punches his way through a stone wall.
Yeah.
Like he has some kind of like Terminator level ability to destroy structures.
Yes.
But they find it pretty quickly and realize that the etching on this shield matches the one that they're missing the chunk from.
So
he very smartly brought down the rubbing, so he can like get a copy of it.
Yeah, so he's got his brown crayon and he's got or whatever, little etching thing and is able to line it up and kind of copy the rest of it so that they can see
line it up perfectly.
It was quite impressive, especially given the nature of everything going on. But in the meantime, the befezzed mystery men who knocked Marcus Brody out have gone down into the catacombs and have they know that Elsa and Indy are going and where they're headed, and they clearly know things that we don't at this point, this group, but they light that petroleum on fire. They toss the lit match. So when you first come down into the catacombs, it's like water, but it was once Indy broke through that wall, that's where the petroleum smell was. So it seems like wherever the guys are standing before they throw the match in, that's not going to light, that's just water.
Got it, yeah.
But they light it up. So now this fireball is heading down the catacomb.
Chasing all the rats.
Right. Chasing the rats towards them or killing the rats. Any rats. And it sounds terrifying. So at this point, he now hands the burning torch to Elsa, flips over the casket, which I guess is probably made of stone, seems like, and gets underneath. But we don't see where the torch went or what petroleum it landed in. But anyway, it's gone. Yeah. It just disappears. And I'm not even sure why that casket would stop the fire from burning the petroleum. It just seems very strange. They're still like in gasoline, right? I mean, isn't that like, maybe it's just a thin layer of it. It's mostly water and there's like a thin layer on top, something like that, but it's a little funky. Anyway, they're able to sort of hide underneath the casket, and Indy finds a way out of the chamber while Elsa is being eaten alive by rats. But they both are able to exit, and they come up through like a manhole cover onto like a piazza where there's people like eating and drinking.
I love that shot because like you know it's coming, but it's still very rewarding to see because you have this peaceful scene of everybody just dining al fresco, but you can notice this sewer grate like right in the center of the screen. So when they start to pop up, it's really good.
And he pops up, and I think for the second of 3 times, just kind of looks around and goes, Venice, which is great too.
So now we've got the Fezmen are after him.
Yes.
Right. And they hop on one of those really cool wooden boats. Those look so good. I mean,
old school speedboats.
Yeah, just something about that look. It seems so much more fun. And there's a great chase scene here. driving the boats away. They barely squeeze through two boats that are being kind of like shoved into each other by tugboats. There's some good explosions. These guys are really... I always feel like my hat's going to fly off just in life, right? We were in Cambria the other day. We were seeing the elephant seals where you go out to like the vista by the coast, and there's these elephant seals, and it's amazing, but it's so windy. So I'm like holding my hat on my head with both hands. During the scene where Indy's on the boat at the beginning trying to retrieve the cross, his hat is magically staying on as it's getting hit by these like, deadliest catch waves and everything. And then now these guys with the fezzes, like, dude, there's not even a strap. There's not a chin strap on those things.
There's also no bill, no brim. So maybe that helps. But
maybe more aerodynamic. But the fez fitters back then really were on another level.
We also have added. We've had the fight on a train, the fight on a boat. Now we're fighting on smaller boats.
On other boats.
So we had a little speedboat fight now. Really great stuff. He's able to dispatch most of these guys. One of them is the kind of the one who threw the match. We've been shown kind of the main guy. He and Indy are fighting as the boat has stopped working because it's gotten shot.
Yes.
And they are backing up into the spinning propeller of a very large like container
which
ship
is just
or something.
Shredding it up, and it looks so cool. It really does. These boats are just getting mutilated, getting pushed back into there. Yeah, so it's a matter of time, and this guy basically is able to convince Indy, like, we're basically the eternal protectors of the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Like,
if you don't, like, I'm ready to die for this cause.
Yeah.
So if you don't get us both off this boat, we'll both just die. I'm good.
Yeah.
And so Indy pulls him off. Elsa's driving the other boat. They drive him up to a jetty and he gets off. And he says it specifically. He's a member of the Brotherhood of the Cuneiform Sword, which has been tasked with protecting the Grail, keeping it hidden, keeping it protected for 1,000 years or whatever. And he says, basically Indy asks him, like, well, my father was looking for the Grail. Did you try to kill him too? Where is he? Now, for some reason, Qasim, that's his name, knows that Dr. Jones, Indy's father, is being held specifically in the Castle Brunwald on the Austrian-German border. I don't know why he knows this. I don't know why he knows this and then doesn't know what we later find out about Elsa as a fact, which I won't give away right now. But like, why does this guy know certain things and not other things? That it does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
But he sends them on their way. They, in fact, go to Castle Brunwald, just outside of Germany, near Salzburg, Austria. And it's a rainy night and it's pouring. And Indy's thinking about what are we gonna do here? We're gonna get in. So it's funny. He gives his hat to her. She gives her beret to him. He wears her cape. She wears his jacket.
Yeah.
Just mix up a bunch of clothes, like whatever it is. And he comes in with the worst Scottish accent ever.
Really funny.
Like, we here to see the tapestries. Like, he doesn't sound like like anything in particular.
Yeah.
And I love that the butler or whatever who answers the door, says, "This is a castle. Of course we have tapestries. But if you are a Scottish lord, then I am Mickey Mouse." and he just goes, "How dare he?" And he punches him. And it's just a classic Indy move.
I do love his resorting to the punch as his second option. Like, he's the QB going through his progressions, and the punch is always the second option.
Yes. So talk first, punch second, shoot if you have to third.
Yeah.
But this is when we get a real look at our real villains of the movie. Of course, it's an Indiana Jones movie that isn't the Temple of Doom, so the villains are the Nazis. And so they're walking through this castle. They find this big control room they're able to sort of view from above, full of Nazis doing Nazi things.
Yeah,
and
they
whatever.
have a map in it. They're doing their strategies and
exactly.
stuff. Yep.
And he even says, like, Nazis, I hate these guys. And this is when we get to start seeing killing and fighting and beating up Nazis. And that's awesome.
It's fantastic. Thinking of this as kind of more like a kids movie, like, it's good that they're Nazis, because it's kind of in a movie that's meant more for kids to see the guys actually get killed instead of just like, gun butted and knocked out or whatever. It's a little jarring, but it's like, oh no, these are Nazis. Don't worry.
Don't worry about these guys.
It's fine.
It's all good.
There's plenty more where that.
There's not a lot of geopolitical gray area here. These are Nazis.
It's nice that it just, what, audience, we're going to do you a favor and make this nice and easy for you to watch these people get killed.
I do feel like, based on his filmography, Steven Spielberg is just a big fan of anything that beats up, kills, or denigrates Nazis.
Yeah,
Good for him.
I think so. I think even the shark in Jaws was German.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So and he's reunited, right, with his dad.
Right. So he does this cool move with the whip out one window where he was able to like kind of swing across to like a gargoyle and then swing back to the room his dad is in and bust through the window, at which point his dad smacks him over the head with a vase because he thought he was one of them. And he's like, Dad, they take the door. Like, it's so dumb. But yeah, so we are introduced for the first time visually, Sean Connery as Dr. Henry Jones, Indiana's dad. The diary's with Indy, and they're fighting out, and they get basically, they kill a bunch of Nazis, they shoot him. Henry is scandalized, like, oh my God, Indy, what are you doing? But he's like, oh, let's go, Dad. And so they get to a place where like kind of the head Nazi guy, he's got the crazy SS hat and whatever, he's all the black uniform, is holding a gun to Elsa's neck.
Right.
He's like, if you move, she dies, give me the diary, whatever, and, put down the gun, everything. And Henry keeps saying, well, he won't shoot her. Let her. Yeah. She's one of them, whatever. And he's like, what are you talking about, Dad? Like, it's crazy. Like, this is like, I think we skipped the part, but, Elsa and Indy have made love together. Like, that's, he's very much into this chick.
He's vetted her.
Right, exactly. And so, finally he puts down the gun or whatever. And Elsa comes over and she's like, I'm so sorry, but you should have listened to your father. And she takes the Grail diary out of Indy's pocket and brings it to the Nazi guy. And we find out all along Elsa Schneider has been working with the Nazis.
Who would have thought?
So ridiculous. You can't trust anybody. And so now they've been captured. They and the diary are brought to another room in the castle where, sitting ominously in a chair, high back chair so we can't see him initially, who's there to retrieve the diary? Walter fucking Donovan. The guy who sent them there in the first place, also working with the Nazis.
It is kind of crazy because looking at that guy, once it's revealed that he's a Nazi, it's like, how the fuck did I not know he was a Nazi? He has the most Nazi face. Like, I could have pictured him chasing after the Blues Brothers in the Pinto wagon, Like, he looks the part very well. So good little twisteroo there.
Yes.
And then at the same time, now we have, I think that they're saying, well, we're okay because our dude, Denholm, he's gonna be fine,
right?
And he's with their other ally.
Because so in Indy, once they figured out from the second etching that Alexandretta was the name of the city they needed to start in, he sent Marcus to Iskenderun, which is the current, like the modern day city on the same site, where their friend Salah, who's an Egyptian man who they've seen in other movies, he helped out in Raiders and stuff. Go talk to Salah, whatever. And here's the map. His dad had drawn a map. He just didn't know where to start. So now they know Alexandretta, Iskenderun is where they should start. So he tore the map out of the diary and gave it to Marcus to go. So when the diary is retrieved, Donovan and Elsa notice like they need a map.
Yeah.
And they know that this is an important piece, especially since Elsa now knows as well as Indy does that Alexandretta is the starting place. So but he says, you'll never get him. Marcus has got a 2-day head start. He's fluent in 12 languages.
Right.
No, Marcus Brody
just shows him kind of
moron.
bumbling through, and him and Salah end up in some trouble.
Yes,
and Salah's trick where he holds up a newspaper to the guy. He's like, "Look at this newspaper," and then punches him through the newspaper. Oh, I really like that one.
It's really good.
It's not the same punching somebody through an iPad. Like you need that paper media.
The crumpling is kind of an important
really
element of it. Salah tries to hide Marcus in this, looks like maybe it's like a shop or something, but it turns out it's actually
just like a Nazi truck.
It's a Nazi truck. And so these guys like lift up the tailgate and I love it. It's like this specific Nazi desert symbol.
Yeah.
It's like a Nazi swastika with, like a little bit of sand and a palm tree or something, like a little oasis.
They had alternate uniforms, just like the NBA do. They had to sell jerseys.
So back to Austria.
Yep.
The Jones boys need to escape. They've been left because instead of being allowed to kill them right away, Elsa tells Donovan and the Nazi, like, no, if we can't retrieve the map from Brody, we are going to need them alive because we're going to need to know what they know. So they don't kill them right away. They leave them tied up in this room, and they all leave because Elsa Schneider, she is being requested by the Fuhrer himself to join some event in Berlin.
Yeah.
And Donovan, I think, as well. They leave them, and now Indiana Jones is like, Dad, reach in my pocket. I've got a lighter.
Yep.
Try to burn through the ropes, which I'm like, this is the dumbest idea
so good.
Indiana Jones has ever had. Like, how would this even work if it worked? You're just going to burn yourselves. Like, what? Anyway, so of course he can't burned through the ropes, he like gets burned by them and it tosses the lighter away. And it's one of those classic Zippo windproof.
Ooh,
you know, those are, you can't blow those out.
Nope.
They either run out of fuel or they just burn. And so the entire room is lit on fire. They're in now.
And I do love that Dr. Jones, the senior, is he's kind of reluctant. He's not saying at first what happened. And it is kind of a funny thing that we see a few times throughout the movie where, you know, he's not as much of a father figure in the traditional sense. What was the term? You brought up a great term during Terminator 2 of John Connor was like a parentified child.
The parentified child. Yeah,
is Indy a parentified child?
I don't think so, because the only reason I'll say I don't think so is because it sounds like their issues as a father and son occurred after his mother died, and it sounded like that happened when he was maybe a late teenager.
Okay.
And so I don't think it's quite the same. And also, it doesn't seem like Henry has needed him the same way that Sarah needed John.
That's true.
So there's not that element. I don't think there is neglect, and there is, you know, sort of a withholding of emotional, you know, support and love and things like that. So this is not a good, healthy parent-child relationship, but I don't think that particular element is at play, mainly because Henry has himself been self-sufficient, has not relied on Indy to do things for him,
right,
the way Sarah clearly like needed John to like calm her down and like do stuff. So
he just has to make up for his bumbling a little bit.
A little bit,
so they're tied up. So we have a really cool scene now.
Yes.
So they're tied up to the chair back to back.
Right.
And then the whole room is catching on fire.
Yes.
And they're kind of like trying to hop away from the fire and maybe, okay, let's hop back over here up against this wall. And they end up hitting a switch which flips this wall into this other room, which appears to be a control room type thing.
I think it's the one they maybe saw earlier from above, like the same kind of thing with the map and all that.
But nobody saw them.
Not
so
initially.
It was like it flipped quickly around back, and they're just like, okay, so now we know it's either fire or whatever's on this side of the wall. Like, what are we gonna do?
Right.
So there's some good action there where they're turning back, and then they're finally recognized, and they're able to turn the wall back. So let's see, how do we get out of here?
Right. So basically, like, they're able to like stop the wall from turning with all the Nazis on the fire side of it or whatever.
Right, that's right.
At this time, Donovan gets word, like a telegram or something, that Brody has been captured. They have the map, so he tells the SS guy, go ahead and kill the Joneses. Or actually it's even a message from the Fuhrer or something like, must kill the Joneses, destroy the American conspirators. So he is going back in the castle now to go get them, but of course the room they were in is on fire, so they're being chased. But Indy and Henry are able to get their gear back because, like a good video game, they were just sitting. Their gear was sitting kind of in the next room. So they're able to get their gear back. He's got a satchel in his whip and everything else. And they're now trying to escape the castle. They end up in a room that looks like it has no exit. And I love because Henry's got this great line of like, sometimes I just decide to sit down and see if the solution will present itself.
Yes.
At which point the chair he's on is like a lever
that
opens a spiral staircase down.
That was a great effect.
Indy unfortunately fell down a bit, but they're able to get out of the castle that way and get out to... it's like a boat dock.
Right. So they get to the boat area, and basically he turns one of the boats on and sends it down the river to kind of throw them off their scent. And then at this point they're kind of motioning towards, okay, well, this is the way we're getting out, which we aren't shown yet.
Yeah.
And the Nazis get down to the dock. They see the boat going down. Like, let's get in the boat. Instead of waiting until they got in a boat and started to pursue, they bust out of this crate in a motorcycle with a sidecar immediately.
Right.
They could have bought themselves another couple minutes, probably.
How did they even get into it? How did they get into it? Get the thing closed? Get into the motorcycle? It's so ludicrous.
Too much movie magic there.
But you're right. If they had just waited, they probably would have just gotten away. But instead, the Nazis now chase them. And
I love a sidecar, by the way. A motorcycle with the sidecar just really adds to it.
Absolutely. And so now yet another vehicle type that we're fighting on. So now we've added motorcycles to the list. It's a growing list. But I also love this scene. To me is very, the vibe is very reminiscent of the speeder bike chase on Endor in Return of the Jedi. There's a lot of sort of elements, both between how some of the Nazis are dispatched. One of them has he's got like this big stick, a flagpole that he uses to joust. One of them he ends up shoving into the spokes of another one. And the way that bike flips up in the air, I think one of the scout troopers on Endor dies like the exact same way. He like hits something and the bike flips.
So funny.
Very interesting corollaries and similarities between this motorcycle chase and the speeder bike chase in Jedi. But yeah.
And during this whole time, Indy's doing this amazing stuff to keep them alive and to fight off these Nazis. And Henry Jones not impressed.
No.
refuses to be
He's just holding his
impressed
briefcase or
by
whatever,
it.
yeah.
Just,
And his umbrella.
really good.
Yeah.
So now they realize they have to go back to Berlin because that's where where the diary is.
Right. And Indy doesn't understand at first, why do we need the diary? Marcus has the map, and Henry explains to him, it's not just the map. There's trials. There's these like 3 devices that you'll have to get past. If you even get to the place, there's these 3 trials you have to get past. And I wrote down all of the solutions to getting past them in my diary.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, can't you remember them? I wrote them down in the diary so I wouldn't have to remember, you know? So they have to go to Berlin and go get the book back. And so we're treated to a very short scene in Berlin at a book burning celebration.
Nazi book burning rally.
Elsa is there. She's crying because, of course, you know, she's not really a Nazi. She's just working with them. She's
I'm just
sad
getting
about the
paid by
books.
them and going along with everything
Exactly.
they're doing.
But
for
we're
my own
supposed to
safety
get
and
this. I
comfort.
hate this part because we're supposed to get this like twinge of sort of sympathy for her. It's like, fuck that shit. But she's crying about the book burning. Indy finds her. She's got the diary on her, which is weird because she even mentioned something about taking it to a library, or Donovan did, to like a museum or a library or something to like store. But she's got it on her. And so Indy's able to take it from her. They have a little exchange, and we don't see her again, I think, for quite a while. But like, you know, basically
He takes it from her pretty easily.
He just takes it from her. And then, you know, she's like something about, you know, I think this or whatever. Like, I don't think like the Nazis do. He's like, who gives a damn what you think? You know, they kind of, and then he's got his hand around her throat. All I have to do is squeeze. She says, all I have to do is scream.
Yep.
And then he's like, okay, fuck off. I'm going to leave. But before he can leave, he gets swept up in the crowd.
Yes. And he ends up pulled into this group of autograph seekers,
right?
Who were all crowded around the biggest star of Nazi Germany at that time.
I don't understand what's happening here. Is Hitler signing books to then be burned? Why is he signing books at a book burning?
I didn't understand that really. I just thought it was, you know, it's just a classic thing to like throw a goofy version of Hitler into a movie, you know, and it takes some of the edge off, you know, the symbology that we're seeing and everybody doing the "my heart goes out to you" symbol and stuff like that. But yeah, it was
the Roman salute, I believe.
Yeah,
we were
the
told,
Roman salute, right? Very light thing where, you know, Hitler autographs his diary, which I hope is not the reason that it's your number one
that actually
movie prop of all time.
It is definitely not.
But
I will say though, obviously it's number like 5,720th on the list of horrible things Hitler has done or has been purported to do. But signing an autograph in a pencil is just a dick move.
That's pretty bad.
That's a dick move. You know, way down his list, but still.
You're not getting a Gem Mint 10 if it's a pencil autograph. It's not hard to authenticate.
What kind of sociopath signs an autograph with a pencil? Oh, that kind does. Okay.
So he ends up, it's very funny. So he has the diary now and he has Hitler's autograph.
That's the important part, right?
The important part. He's like, I finally got it signed. Then they end up on the Zeppelin, I think.
Right. So they got to try to get out of Germany. They go to the airport, and they end up on a Zeppelin. So we're adding Zeppelin to the number of interesting vehicles in this movie. But yeah, so they get on the Zeppelin, and Indy is like, "Hey, we made it. We're good." And his dad, quite wisely, is like, when we're airborne, Germany's behind us. I'll celebrate with you. But before they can even get off the ground, our buddy who's been following along with Donovan and Schneider, the SS guy, I don't know his name, he shows up and he starts looking around. He's got a picture of Henry of the senior Jones, asking people, "Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man?" Everybody's like, no, I haven't. But, Indy sees him and then follows a waiter and sort of like, I guess, probably knocks him out and steals his outfit, whatever. But he's wearing like a waiter's clothes. He starts asking for tickets. And the SS guy sees Jones, Henry Jones, and is like, oh, Mr. Dr. Jones, kind of whatever. But that's when Indy walks up behind him and goes, "Tickets, please." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Tickets." And he punches him and throws him out the window, which I'm like, the dude probably should have died from that fall, but I guess he landed on a bunch of luggage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
and then it was
right.
like, why is there a pile of luggage? As the Zeppelin starts flying away, the dude is sitting in the luggage that I would assume is supposed to be on the Zeppelin. All very strange.
I don't know.
But all the other patrons on the Zeppelin in this dining car, whatever the heck it is, turn and look. He goes, "No ticket." And they're all just like, "Oh, here's my ticket. Don't throw me out the window."
Really funny there. What do you think Zeppelin travel was like? Like, did you have to get there 3 hours before it left? What kind of, how far did they go? I wish I knew more about these because it's such a forgotten mode of transportation.
I've never been able to understand, and I've never really done the research, I'll admit, but where the fuck do you sit in it? Because isn't the big oval football all filled with whatever gas?
I think it's almost like a hot air balloon basket. It's just like a little room that's underneath this giant thing.
That was way too
so
small.
It's like the size of this room. Yeah,
but think about like where they were. That wasn't the bridge. That wasn't the flight deck. That was just like the dining room, and it was huge.
True.
I don't understand where the hell. And I feel like even the little like gangplank or whatever they had to walk up to get in wasn't going into like that little unit. It was like going into the silver thing. So like I guess some of it is where the
I don't think so. I think the whole thing. Yeah,
listeners,
Zeppelin Museum. We're taking donations. We're going on a field trip.
I was going to say any Zeppelin enthusiasts out there, email us at the show at 2dads1movie.com, the number 2, the number 1, and tell us where the fuck do you sit in a Zeppelin? I've just never understood it.
Please.
We can move forward, but this is definitely something that has always bothered me about this and other movies involving Zeppelins.
I think it's worth investigating because I would like to know a little bit more about dirigibles.
We're on this flight out of Germany.
Flight out of Germany, but they're still concerned. They're on this Zeppelin, and they're like, we kind of gotta.
The Zeppelin turns around.
Oh, right.
He sees the shadows sort of change direction. Now the sun's on the other side, basically, and so he realizes they're taking us back to Germany. So they got to escape. So they go down, and there's apparently like a cruise ship has a lifeboat. A single one, I guess. Yeah. There's a biplane with a machine gun just attached to the bottom of the Zeppelin. So they climb into it and they're like, you know how to fly this thing? Fly it, yeah. Land, no. And so they get into it and they're going to try to fly, continuing out of Germany. I don't know exactly where they are. Based on what happens after they land, I think they're over Italy somewhere, it seems like. They are basically attacked by a couple of German fighter planes. They are trying to fly away, and there is a machine gun like turret on the back of the biplane. And so Indy tells his dad, you got to use the machine gun. You got to, whatever. And he, does a decent job at first.
Getting a couple of them, yeah.
I don't know that he actually even hits anybody, but he's like, controlling the thing pretty well. But then blows up their own, I don't know what that's called, the dorsal fin, whatever that, the vertically placed, fin on the back of the plane is destroyed.
Bad move. And again, passes the buck where Henry says, "Oh, it looks like somebody hit us." We didn't.
Sorry, son, they got us. So he's got to try to land, which we've already been told Indy is not good at landing planes, but now he has to crash land. So they do. They crash. They come down, and then the other jets, the planes keep coming at them and shooting at them. Yeah. And so they got to hide. So they go and they steal a car. And I feel like this guy looks like he's dressed like an Italian guy for some reason. So that's why I think they're in Italy. But they steal this car. They start driving off. A plane tries to follow them through a tunnel.
I love that.
Doesn't work well. Strips off the wings.
It worked better than I thought, but it still, ultimately ended terribly.
Yes, for the pilot at least.
But the great gag though of just the wings instead of it just exploding when it hits there, the wings getting clipped off, and then he's just riding in the fuselage of the plane, just kind of with this look on his face, like the Bugs Bunny when he steps, or the coyote when he steps off the cliff and puts the sign up that says like and then falls down. Really good because he then did fully explode once he got past them
on
and
the
out of
exit
the tunnel.
of the tunnel. That's what made him blow up, was leaving the tunnel. I don't know. Anyway, so that's one of two fighter jets down, but the other one drops a bomb, luckily not on them, but on the road in front of them, causing an enormous crater that they crash into. Yep. So they got to ditch the car now. So we've got biplanes and fighter planes and another car. What's next? So they end up running onto a beach. Yeah. It looks like. And it doesn't look good for them. That plane is making another
that thing's coming around and it knows where they are.
And there's no cover.
Weaponry.
Right?
Yeah.
You're on a beach. It's got machine guns. There's no cover. And then there's this moment, and it was something I realized the way I'd seen it before is different. So we see Henry's face, so Sean Connery's face. And what I noticed this time, but I'll tell you what I thought was different about it. We see the reflection of the plane coming like in his glasses. Okay. You see this little like line, and it's him watching the plane coming. I thought that was a tear for years. Oh. I thought we were seeing like he was crying this single tear, like we're done. But he immediately figures out there's this massive like flock of seagulls sitting on the beach, and he just starts shaking his umbrella at them to send them up into the oncoming flight path of the plane, which has got to be one of the worst ways to go. Death by birds and bird shit.
And then the way it showed just all the birds hitting the plane and everything, it was brutal.
Terrifying.
Yeah, so he got Sully Sullenberger, and he had to crash into the side of the...
Worked out a lot worse for him than it did for Sully.
Certainly did. So yeah, great. And it was a good kind of like, the old guy's still got some tricks. So you think I can't use my umbrella?
Remembered my Charlemagne.
Really good. So then we're still being chased by the Nazis.
Well, no,
right?
this we'd go away from Indy and Henry. Now they've essentially gotten away. Like they don't really explain kind of where they get to next, but they're away now. They're out of Germany. There's no Nazis following them right now. So we cut to where Donovan and Schneider are talking to. It said like Republic of Hatay, which I haven't looked up. It must be a former country in the area because I don't recognize the name now. But they are, basically talking to like this crown prince of this country, where they need to go, the town of Iskenderun and so formerly Alexandretta, and this crescent valley of the canyon of the crescent moon they're trying to get to is all within this country's borders. So they're saying like, hey, we wouldn't come here and just take this away like without compensating you, but we also want to make sure that we have permission to let go. And they offer this trunk of gold and whatever, and the dude is just not into it. He's like, whatever. But he sees their car, Rolls Royce Phantom 2.
Yeah.
And he is just super into it. He's naming the liters of the engine and the brand of carburetor and like all this stuff, whatever. And he goes, the keys are in the ignition, Your Highness. It's yours. And I love it. He goes, you will have men, you will have horses, you will have camels and tanks. It's just like, and a tank or something. And it's like, you're welcome.
Yeah,
like, wow,
seriously,
that's great.
man. That went easier than they thought it would. But yeah, definitely got that guy with the shininess of that beautiful vehicle.
Beautiful Rolls Royce.
And so now we have tanks in the mix.
Right. So now Henry and Indy have reached Iskenderun. They've met up with Sala. Sala told them how Brody was taken, and they start, going the same path basically, right?
Yeah.
They know where they're headed because they're all headed to the same place. They all starting in the same place. So they're following along, and they're obviously moving faster than a big sort of like caravan with a tank and whatever. They can drive much faster than that. So they end up on a high canyon, and looking down at, where the tank is coming through and stuff. And Sala tells them they've got Brody, in a car or whatever. And he's like, Indy's like standing, I think he's like looking through a spyglass or something, which is reflecting the sun, which draws the attention. And the tank actually is able to shoot beyond them.
He's like, they can't see us.
We're so out of range.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the tank destroys,
blows up their car.
We later learn Sala's brother-in-law's car. He later mentions, but yes. So the car blows up. So now they have to like figure out, well, how do we get Brody out of here? How do we move on? And so, Indy goes to steal some horses and tells Sala to do the same. And Sala goes, I'll get camels. No camels. No camels. I'm not sure why. I don't, even all the Indiana Jones movies I've seen, I'm not 100% sure why the no camels reference. I don't know if it's something in Temple of Doom I'm not remembering, but no camels. But
so they're kind of, it's always an interesting battle when you have people who are on foot or on horseback or something against something like a tank.
Right.
Because you think of a tank as like, well, this is indestructible. There's no way it's not going to win. But it's slow and it doesn't have good visibility and all these things. So there's ways that you're able to get an advantage over it.
Bad maneuverability. It's not agile. Yeah.
And Indy ends up on horseback and reaches down, like his ability to spot the perfect diameter of a rock from horseback in motion is amazing. Because then he just reaches down and scoops up this rock, shoves it into the gun of the tank, which if anyone
one of the side turrets, at least.
The side turret, right? And if you've ever seen Looney Tunes, you know that if you fire it, then it just peels back like Elmer Fudd's shotgun,
like a banana peel. Yeah, it's very cartoonish, but that is what happens. It sort of like blows up, and it causes a fire inside the tank and everything. And Henry, in Indy, he's like, he gets away. He's got the horses and he drives off, or runs off. And Sala's got camels, and he's like, Sala, like I told you, no camels. Like what are you doing? He's like, for compensation for my brother's car. And so, but he's like, well, where's Dad? He goes, they have them in the belly of that steel beast. And so he realizes, God damn it, his dad got captured. He's like, Brody's probably in there with them now. I got to go back. And so he's got to keep kind of fighting. Yeah. And we get this it's a fantastic action sequence. I'm not going to go into all the different pieces of it, but he is, he ends up on the tank fighting. Henry is fighting inside the tank. There's just all this like stuff going on. The big bad Nazi SS guy is fighting him. At some point, the tank gets completely separated from the other vehicles and trucks, or they kind of, I guess, go off to like continue the search for the Grail. Yeah. Meanwhile, Henry and everybody in Indy are fighting on the tank. And we get to just the whole tank sequence is pretty amazing. And I don't know if there's anything in particular you wanted to like mention during this action sequence, but we get to the end where basically the tank is heading towards a cliff, like a big cliff. And it's just Indy and the SS guy that are fighting on it still because the driver has been shot by a ricocheting bullet.
That's right.
Right inside. And so it's heading off that cliff no matter what happens because it's not going to stop. But Indy and the SS guy are fighting on top, and Indy's hat flies off, which I think is important because you mentioned how in all these other situations, his hat stays on.
Right.
But the fedora flies off, and we see the tank go over the cliff. And we see, just like in Terminator 2 had a couple of bad dummies, a really bad action figure dummy of the SS guy holding on to the tank as it goes over the cliff and bouncing around like a little G.I. Joe figure or something.
I did like the guy driving the tank. I think they made him like a totally different kind of character, to be the tank operator, because he wasn't in the uniform.
I feel like he was I feel like because the tank belonged to the Kingdom of Hatay or whatever.
Okay.
He was
a local. Not a Nazi guy.
Yeah, he was a
Right,
local
because
he was like the tank guy for their army, and that was like their one tank.
He was. He had some good moves. Though. I wouldn't mind like a sit-in arcade game where you like have to really swing those levers, with like real physics to operate one of those kind of tanks. Yeah. So the tank off the edge and it explodes, and that's it for Indiana Jones forever.
And Sala and Marcus and Henry are all looking over the cliff and mourning the loss of their son and friend, and we're all like not 100% sure what's happened either, but it seems pretty convincing, other than the fact that it's an Indiana Jones movie and they would never kill Indiana Jones. This is not a George R.R. Martin show. So he is climbing now up like a root, right? He's able to grab onto something. He's able to pull himself back up. No help from these men just sitting looking over the thing, to the point that he looks over to look at what they're looking at.
Yeah, I love that. Like, huh? Where someone appears behind him. He's like, oh, what are we who just fell to their death?
Yeah, right. But so Henry's able to welcome him. Oh, I thought I lost you, son. Like, all this kind of stuff. And okay, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. And I mean, he's exhausted, right?
And Henry even was like, I think he made a comment about, oh, there's so much I didn't say, it would have only taken a couple minutes.
Oh, I knew.
And then Indy appears and he's just like, oh, good, you're fine. All right, let's get out of here.
Like, not even you're fine, just you're alive. No, oh, good, you're alive.
No, like, no, oh, okay. Well, now that I have this second chance that's been given to me by life, let me tell you this stuff. It was kind of
So, and of course, Indy is sitting there as they're running off, and he says, hey, why are you sitting? We're so close to the end, whatever. And of course, I love it. Indy's fedora kind of rolls off from off screen right to him. So the hat has come back. The hat has a mind of its own. But yeah, so they are now.
So they have to get the Grail still.
That's right. So now they know how to get to the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. They know the Nazis are on the way too, but they have horses, and so let's go get the Grail.
Yeah.
And they roll up. It's funny because there's no trucks or anything outside.
Yeah.
Which I kind of figured there would be, but maybe they deliberately like hid them around the corner or something, knowing that they might come. But sure enough, they get there. They are go into the entrance of this temple, and there is a local person being pushed, at gunpoint to go through the opening to the rest of the cavern or whatever, where we've been told, of course, Henry has told us there are 3 devices, 3 trials that have to be passed in order to get by. And, this guy walks in and he's holding his sword, whatever. And as the cobwebs sort of start to part, because the first trial, according to Henry, is called the Breath of God, they start to part, a huge like saw blade.
Yeah, crazy.
Flies through and cuts the dude's head off.
Because I don't know if we're even shown it when he goes in there. We just see his sword get cut in half and then his head kind of roll out.
Yes, exactly. Although we also see another body with a severed head as he walks in. But no, they don't go rated R and actually show the head getting cut off, but they do show us the head
it's definitely
rolling down
shocking,
the steps.
Though. Yeah, it's crazy to see that. The stuff that I wrote this down because Indiana Jones kind of like goes through the same tribulations as one of the bandits in Home Alone.
Okay.
Like he's just kind of getting hit by booby traps all the time and like having to avoid this stuff. He's a little more successful, but he's getting like a Marv level of punishment throughout these movies. So this guy's going through, and then the second his head gets cut off, they're like, all right, who's next? Like the next person through there.
Yep.
And I think this is when Indy and crew.
Yeah, this is when some Nazis. Well, no, they've been watching this, but some Nazis show up behind them. So I do think that they'd hidden the trucks or whatever around the corner or something, and been told to watch the entrance. When they go in, some guys follow them in and at gunpoint bring them to where Donovan and Schneider are. And so basically, Donovan tells Indy, "You're going to go get the Grail for me," and Indy's like, Nope. And he points a gun at him. You're going to go do it. He's like, well, shooting me won't get you what you want. And he goes, you know what, Dr. Jones? You're absolutely right. And he shoots Henry, Indy's father, in the stomach, which, as other movies have told us,
You're going to bleed out.
you can bleed out, but it takes a long time. It hurts like hell, but you're not going to die right away. He's got some time. But of course, his time is now limited. If he doesn't, there's not a hospital nearby. Right? There's no doctor they can go get. And these are the wrong kinds of doctors. All of these doctors are PhDs in archaeology and whatever else. None of them are medical doctors.
Is there a doctor in a house call?
There's at least four. At least
there's
I don't know
9
if
doctors
Donovan,
on this Zeppelin, but they're all archaeologists.
I don't know if Donovan's a doctor, but Schneider and both Joneses and Brody are all doctors. And but they're all PhDs. Anyway, so Donovan mentions only the healing power of the Grail can save him. Like, you don't have a choice. If you want to save your dad, go get it.
Yep.
Right. So he's got the book, he's got the diary, he's able to go through the first clue to get through the first device is that the penitent man will pass. And penitent, of course, means like humble and kneeling. And so that's when he realizes he needs to drop to his knees. I don't know how that prepared him for the other blade that comes across the floor that he has to roll out of the way of.
Yeah.
What the hell was going on there? In fact, if you did a full penitent bow, that one would have cut your head off because your head would have been all the way to the ground. Very strange little booby trap. And I don't know how, they never really explain why Indy was aware enough to avoid it, but.
And then how many kids in church were kneeling and then rolling as like their official kneel? They're like, well, this is the way you do it.
That's how the penitent
to not get your head chopped
exactly,
off.
Right.
So then he has to do that. And then the next one, I think that there are floor tiles with different letters on them.
Yeah.
He has to spell out, they determine you have to spell out the name of God. And then they're like, okay, so that would be Jehovah. But wait, the Latin spelling of it, so it's different. He had stepped on the J and all, like, immediately fell through to just this horrifying. We don't really get a lot of visibility into that area,
but it looks bad.
Dude,
very
terrible.
Deep. A lot of stalagmites ready to impale you.
Oh yeah,
and that rock crumbled like paper. Like it was like
crazy,
right through.
Like
it.
He didn't put his full weight on it, and it took him through.
Exactly.
So he's able to spell out the correct name of God to move on to the final one.
Right.
What was the
final one? Is like a leap of faith, basically.
Oh,
so
that's
it's like
right.
It's only from a leap from the lion's head or whatever it was. And I've never fully understood how this works, but it looks like it's some kind of optical illusion that makes it look like there's no platform, no bridge there, but he does end up sort of, just stepping out right from the lion's head and sure enough lands on a solid piece of stone and is able to walk across. And he smartly grabs some just dirt or whatever, some dust or gravel, and throws it back out onto it to like make it more obvious. But the whole thing was clearly stone. It's not like it was glass or something that would be see-throughable. I don't know why that would be such a trick. Like what supposed optical illusion was, it made that impossible to see. But it does seem like if you tilted your head slightly, you would see it. But anyway, he gets across, which leads him into this sort of final chamber with this knight who's sitting there waiting for him, who looks very old and tries to attack Indy, but can't even lift his sword, falls back, whatever. And
then he's just like, you've bested me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
right. You beat me in Mortal Kombat or whatever. And he explains to Indy that he's waiting for a knight to come relieve him, basically, to take over.
Yeah. That's and did he say something about he'd been there for 700 years or something like that?
700 years.
So this knight then had clearly drank from the
Yes, he must have in order
cup,
to stay
right?
alive.
In order to be that guard. So instead of there being the Holy Grail sitting there, there's the thing that I experience every single day at my house, which is, which one of these fucking cups is mine? Why does every cup in the house have to be out right now? Like, why can't I just have this one? And there's basically, I don't know, like 30, 40, 50 of these different grails of different styles. And the knight says, okay, yeah, you're here. Just pick up the grail.
Choose,
if you pick the wrong one, though, you're going to die.
Right. Because now Elsa and Donovan have followed and they've entered the thing as well.
Right.
And it's like, and he's like, well, so many, there's how to choose. And he says, you must choose. And if you're wrong, the real grail will give you life. The false grail takes it from you. Right. And so almost all of these are shiny, glittery gold, gem encrusted, whatever. And so Donovan is like, he doesn't want to pick, basically. He's kind of like, I'm not trained. I don't have the education. I don't know what to do. So Elsa says, let me pick for you. And he even says, thank you, doctor. Like, please do.
Yeah.
And she picks one of the gaudiest, biggest, cups, hands it to Donovan, and he's so impressed. And he's like, this truly is the cup of the King of Kings.
Yeah.
Oh, And there's a font nearby, just like a water, whatever. God knows how long that water's been sitting
I know,
there.
seriously, yeah.
The 700-year-old water. So he goes over and he like dips the cup into it and he takes the sip or whatever. And everything's like okay for a moment. And then the thing I love is the first thing that happens is John Williams' score changes slightly. The music like dips an octave and becomes a little, I think it switches from a major to a minor key. And suddenly
you see
it's
the
like,
look overcome his face.
yes, where it's like something
it's
doesn't
like,
feel right.
Okay,
Yeah.
this isn't what living forever
Right.
should feel like.
And
we get a really brutal, cool,
Yes.
like and satisfying, just like rapid death and
Yes.
decay of this guy, as if he goes through 30 years of like
at least, yeah.
everything all at once.
Yeah, his hair grows long. His skin initially just his face gets gaunt until the skin starts melting off it. At one point, it looks like there's maggots crawling all over his face, eating him. And he's of course right in Dr. Schneider's face, and she's screaming until finally Indy pushes him away, and he like literally flies against the wall and like shatters. So Donovan is gone.
He's dead.
This reminded me, obviously, anyone who's seen the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, the when the Ark of the Covenant is opened and the Nazis' faces are melting, like this felt very much like we needed to do that, something similar to that.
Yeah.
But it's also, if you're a Disney fan, at the end of Tangled, when Mother Gothel ages rapidly before falling out the tower window.
Okay.
Very similar. Obviously not as brutal in the Disney version, but yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So now Indy and Elsa have to pick the right one.
He still has to choose,
Yeah.
right? And he's looking at all the cups, and like you said, these are all mostly like gaudy and things. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go for like a humble cup because Jesus was a humble carpenter.
Yeah.
You know those humble people we know who are like,
I'm
the son of God. You need to follow me for eternal life. Like those kind of people that are super chill and humble. So he was like, yeah, that's probably like one of those kind of cups.
Yeah.
It also said property of Jesus XXL athletic department on the side of it.
Actually, he had etched his initials into the bottom from when he made it in shop class.
Yeah.
So it was like, before firing it, he etched JC in the bottom.
His house cup. So he picked the right one.
Yes.
He picked the right one, and Indy took a sip from it.
Yes, he
just
did.
to make sure it
To make sure we
worked.
kill him, basically, right? Yeah.
right, and then realizes, okay, well, I'm not dead. Let's
Right.
go give it to Dad.
Right. But the knight warns him. Like the Grail
Says
cannot.
You can't leave this area.
Can't pass. There's a great seal in the temple in the entryway. The Grail cannot go past the seal. That's the price of eternal life. Is you get to live in this temple, in this tiny booby trapped cavern.
Yeah.
You can live forever. But if you want to live any longer, you can't leave.
Yeah.
I guess you could keep coming back and forth.
I
You could
guess keep making a trip.
Yeah,
for
make a
some
trip
water.
back every year or so, just to like.
Yeah, just
I
refresh.
don't know how long. I don't know how long it recharges your batteries
Right.
for, but like but anyway, so they are going to take it out to heal Henry, to heal his dad, and sure enough, they give him some sips, and then actually pour it on the gunshot wound.
Yeah,
and
it looked like hydrogen peroxide.
I mean, really, it was like it kind of cleaned it, and whatever. Which all I'm thinking is that bullet, that was a relatively small caliber weapon that shot him. It didn't go through the back end.
Yeah.
So now the bullet's just in him.
I know, right?
Or did
I
the
was
Grail
thinking of that
dissolve
too.
it? Like,
Did
I
it
don't
take
know.
the bullet out? Oh, real quick, back to when Donovan picked the Grail. I thought it was really cool when he takes it and he goes through this whole dying sequence, and then the knight goes, he chose poorly.
Which I think they ended up using as like a Pepsi campaign this summer, where it was like, because it was like choose Pepsi, right?
Yeah.
The Pepsi challenge. And it was like somebody came in and it was a bunch of like sodas and thing. And the knight, the same actor playing the knight, sitting there in the commercial. And the guy picks up a Coke and like, he chose poorly.
Oh, that's
it
funny.
doesn't like kill him, but
Yeah.
like, it's like, oh, it's not as good. Not as good as Pepsi. But then that was the thing too, when he says to Jones, before he tells him that he can't take it past the seal, he said, you chose wisely. And so he confirms that they do have the right thing. It heals Henry up. And then it's like all of the locals and some of the other Nazis, all the guys that are left basically, besides Brody and Sala, Henry and Indy and Elsa, run because they've seen this guy get healed now. And they're just like, I'm not dealing with any of this crap. I'm out of here. So they bolt. So now it's just the 5 of them. And, it's time to leave basically. And they're going to go. But Elsa has decided we can take it with us. We've got it, Indy. We can go. We can take it with us. And she starts stepping backwards.
And he's like,
out.
hey, Elsa, let it go.
Yes. Nailed it.
Fucking last episode ever.
God,
we did it.
We got to get a Frozen reference in every episode now. But yeah, so it's like, hey, stop. The knight told us, he warned us, don't do this, don't do this. And of course, as she crosses the center of the seal, earthquake, things start falling, massive stuff is opening up, crevices in the ground. It's total chaos. She drops the Grail at one point, and tries to like dive for it,
Yeah.
but just pushes it. It's like, look, did you play shortstop? Because if not, don't try to dive for something like that. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
But, so there's all this chaos going on. She ends up hanging off of part of the open crevasse, and Indy grabs one of her hands, but she takes the other one away to reach for the Grail. It's just out of her reach. She's like, I can get it. And he's like, Elsa, I can't hold you. Don't give me your other hand. And sure enough, she won't. And she slips through his hands and falls into probably that room that we saw.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Probably whatever that is. He's just, she's under there now. Ugh. Now Indy is sort of like falls, and he's also sort of hanging, and Henry goes to help him. Luckily,
Indy doesn't reach for the cup.
That's right. And it's the one time that Dr. Henry calls his son Indiana. He says, okay, Indiana, let it go. And he does, and they're able to get out as the temple crashes around them. But yeah, it's the one and only time that Connery's character refers to Indy as Indiana.
All right.
Every other time he calls him Junior. I don't think we've mentioned that, but he literally calls him Junior the entire movie.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, so he saves the day. He pulls him out of there, and everyone's safe.
Yeah, seems like.
And and we get to kind of ride off into the sunset. Yeah. I mean, it really preserved everything in case they were going to do another one of these.
Yeah,
right?
well, and that's the thing is that the concept of the Indiana Jones, series of films, and everything, and the lore around it is that it's episodic. It's meant to just be like you could put these characters into a new challenge, a new treasure to hunt, whatever it might be, and just run with it. And so, you got to keep everybody alive. You got to make sure that, nothing has radically altered the situation any of them are in, right? That's kind of an important part of this. I do love that we get the whole Junior explanation from Sala at the end. He's like, why do you keep calling him Junior? And he's like, well, that's his name, Henry Jones Jr. I prefer Indiana. We named the dog Indiana. At which point my favorite John Rhys Davies line of any time is, you were named after the dog? It's just so
good impression. That was nice.
I've been working on a John Rhys Davies for a long time. Yeah.
There's a lot of money in John Rhys Davies impersonation, so I think that's a good career path.
Always thinking. But yeah, that's basically it. There was actually one other solid line that I would mention is when at one point when I can't remember exactly what happens, but I think it's after Donovan and Elsa go in to follow, they get a hold of the guns of somebody, and Sala turns to the guys that still have their weapons and goes, drop your guns, please. This is so polite. But yeah, so that's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That's Indy.
Yeah.
This was a fun one.
Oh, man.
And I'm glad I've seen it. Not seen it before. I didn't know how much Nazi stuff there was. And now talking through this, it is there's 15 action sequences throughout this way. It just keeps going, really.
It's really jam-packed. Yeah.
And it is just, it's just really exciting and fun the whole way through.
Yeah. Do you want to give your full rating review?
Yeah, I'll give my full rating review. I do want to revisit one of the cast members who we didn't talk about as much here, just because I have nowhere else to say this. But this is the second movie in a row that we've done that has featured the late, great River Phoenix, right? And River Phoenix was he was an up-and-coming star in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. I think he probably died in 92, 93.
Something in that ballpark, yeah.
Pretty early.
Sneakers was 92, so shortly after that.
Yeah, and he was well-known and beloved among a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to read this quote. One of a friend of his said this about him. This is a part of poetry from the friend. There's a river born to be a giver. Keep you warm, won't let you shiver. His heart is never going to wither. Come on, everybody. Time to deliver. And this was a good friend of his named Anthony Kiedis.
Oh, my God.
And the way he delivered this tribute, as we would all want it to be, is, there's a river, want to be a giver. It's just so funny that someone could write beautiful words to you, and then they just sing it in the Anthony Kiedis voice, and it ruins everything.
I think River Phoenix is better off having died.
I think he's really. It's better that he wasn't alive for this song. Yeah. So anyway, River Phoenix. I love River Phoenix. So shout out to him for being in 2 films in a row. I thought this was a lot of fun. To be honest, just because I didn't grow up around this, it didn't grab me as much as I'm sure it would have if I were younger. But it looked really cool, and the talent level involved in this was really incredible.
Yeah.
The pace of it, the music, everything was great. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I thought it was super fun. just a little ding for me, just because I wasn't like, it didn't hit me at the exact right time. But I had nothing wrong with this, and just a really fun way to end the trilogy and have this character never appear again.
Never appear in anything ever again. That's totally reasonable. For me, this is one of those movies, that was a major part of my childhood, a major part of my growing up. Just the Indiana Jones mythos altogether was just something that was a major thing for me. I grew up going to Disneyland, and in '95 they opened up the Indiana Jones ride. That became like one of my favorite things ever. Just everything Indiana Jones. I searched for.
We didn't
years.
Talk about the ride, but the ride. I mean, that is really amazing.
I was looking for the hat. I wanted one of those felt fedoras for long, but they don't look good on me. I have an enormous noggin. I wear like a size 8 1/4 hat or something like that. So it always looked weird to be a tall fedora sitting on my head. I'm glad I never got it. But like for years, I was like, I gotta find the right hat. I gotta look like Indy. Anyway, this is, I think, the best of the Indiana Jones films, in my opinion. I still love Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom to me is like, okay, I'm not a big Temple of Doom fan, but I love Raiders and I love this one. This to me does tick all the boxes for what we've sort of referred to as perfect movies. So this one is a perfect movie for me. It is a 5 out of 5. I give no notes to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think it even handles the mythology stuff well. Indy himself is clearly not like a true believer in any sense. Obviously there's times where he sort of has to like take things in faith to make sure they work, but he does it because he wants to save his dad or do whatever. So I think that, we can have this mythology and not have to be browbeaten about the moral implications of it, other than keep it away from Nazis. That's an easy thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to justify, essentially antiquities theft. Exactly. Is just be like, well, if we don't do it, the Nazis are going to do it.
That's one thing I don't love about the whole, it belongs in a museum. It belongs with the original owners, asshole.
It belongs in a museum in the country that it came from, at least, right?
Yes, you mean the National Museum of Portugal? Sure, go ahead.
This belongs in the Queen's Gallery.
Right, exactly. So a 9 out of 10 from the two dads for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yes.
Fantastic movie, a ton of fun. And Nick, this was my pick, so you got to tell us, what are we watching next?
Okay, well, this was super fun. For this next one, I think we're going to go away from the action adventure. We're going to go back to a comedy, which I feel like is kind of an adventure of a comedy because of what the character has to go through. And we're going back to 1985. We're going to see an actor we haven't seen yet, Richard Pryor.
Okay.
And then one that we've seen a bit so far, John Candy.
All right.
And this is 1985 film Brewster's Millions.
Nice.
Basically, Richard Pryor's character is inheriting a certain amount of money, which if he can spend it all, he'll get even more money. And it's a very fun exercise to go through. I really like this one as a kid. I think it holds up, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to talk about.
So this is going to be fun because I have never seen Brewster's Millions. I'm aware of it. I've seen some clips, like the clip of him getting the reading of the will over the video.
Yeah.
Where he learns what he has to do. I've seen that like 100 times in different contexts. But I've never seen Brewster's Millions. My wife is a huge fan of this movie. She loves it. So she was very excited to hear that we would be doing this movie at some point. And I'm really excited for it. Richard Pryor's a genius. There's other Richard Pryor movies I've seen and loved. And so, very much into it. And looking forward to that. That'll be next week. Folks, if you're out there listening and you enjoy what you heard, please head on over to Apple or to Spotify. Throw us a 5-star review. It helps people find the podcast. You can follow us as well so you never miss an episode. To come out every Wednesday, 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern. Every Wednesday, you'll get a new Two Dads, One Movie. If you want to send us an email, let us know how we're doing, or ask us questions, or tell us we're idiots or whatever, you can do that at theshow@twodads1movie.com. That's the number 2 and the number 1. This has been Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, another episode of Two Dads, One Movie. I'm Steve.
And I'm Nick.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
All right.